Howdy, and welcome to the Feed Bandit podcast, where we talk all things hunting and introduce you to the most innovative hunting gear and services. Here are your hosts, Jimmy Byrne and Richard Kinchlow. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast. Jimmy here, and with me, as always, is Richard. Although I should say, usually I'm with him, but the last podcast, two. Has it been two that I missed? Oh, man. I've missed two of them, but I'm back. I'm back in the saddle again, and happy to be back.
Oh, he would be back.
I'll be back.
Yes.
Although I don't know if I can say the same about our economy and our stock markets and whatnot.
God.
Right now, see, we're recording this on March 18th.
Yes.
So, for a reference, some of you may hear this a week after this. I doubt much will be that much improved. Probably get a little worse.
Yeah, it could be.
But oh boy, a lot's changed since I took my little Feed Bandit podcast hiatus.
Yes. Yeah, and we don't want to. We were debating on what to talk about tonight. Since we're both kind of melancholy. And God, it's a great word. Man, when was the last time you used melancholy?
I don't know that I ever have, but I agree. I've always thought it was a great word.
Yeah. Golly, and don't ask me how to spell it, but great word. But yeah, no, we figured we'd talk about it and what the effects are of the hunting community, and especially maybe even on the feed stores and whatnot. We've got some information on that, and golly, this is just kind of unprecedented. I mean. Yeah, I was talking to my dad about it. My dad was born in 1951, and he said that the only other time he's ever experienced anything in his 69 years, quick math, is when Kennedy was assassinated. He said that the 2 days after that, just America stood still, is what he said.
Yeah.
And then things kind of got back up got back up to normal as much as possible. After that, but boy,
it's crazy because I've been reading some, obviously, probably everyone listening and whatever's been watching some of the stuff about it or reading online, and I was reading some accounts from some people who lived in Lower Manhattan, on September 11th, 2001,
right,
and what they were talking about was how, what's going on now is similar to that for them as well, to where, people were like, they didn't know what to do for several days, it was like, is this going to happen again? Is it the end? Is, can we go outside? All this type of stuff.
I didn't think about the whole 9/11 comparison.
Yeah. I mean, if you remember, even, we were in Lubbock at the time.
We were at football practice, remember?
But, I mean, think about it. It's like, I remember being in shock for several days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And thinking, having that feeling that things had changed.
Yeah.
And they did, right?
Yeah.
Here we are 19 years later.
It was really, really quick, like this thing has hit. But, I personally am trying to remain optimistic. People are like, oh, is this going to be a recession? Is this going to be a global meltdown? And of course, you look at the economic factors back when it all started, and, there really weren't any, except for the burning ones, like you've always said, inflation and all that kind of stuff. But, now, the longer this thing, printing money and all that, and this now as this thing kind of, drags on, it's just going to get worse and worse. I mean, I think that things will come back. I think it'll all be fine in the end, but I think it's going to take a while.
Yeah, and the thing about it is like I told you, right or wrong, I'm not nervous so much about the virus aspect of it. I think really, to me, it's more our reaction to everything happening. So it's like
very true.
I have I trust people. I can trust people individually.
Oh yeah.
But I tend to have problems when people get into big groups. Massive groups, because then groupthink takes over.
Oh no, they do.
The herd mentality takes over, and people lose their minds.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, like a flock of blackbirds. They just all kind of, oh my God, over here, go down here.
Oh yeah, totally. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, you are exactly right. So
I remember I told Laura when we were watching news about this stuff, and all of a sudden, of course, it was like dun dun news alert.
yeah,
Oh, and it says
yeah,
Tom Hanks has has
right,
coronavirus, and
right.
I remember the first thing I look at Laura and I say, "Oh my God, if he dies, then it's all over." The
No, yeah,
herd of people who do nothing but watch like Bravo TV or
yeah.
Entertainment Television, if that's even still exists. If Tom Hanks dies, then we're gonna be full blown Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Because
oh yeah,
something like that is like
yeah.
something as trivial and stupid as that is
Right.
like the things that set people off. You know
No,
what I mean?
you're exactly right. And of course, for the record, Tom Hanks was, out of an Australian hospital and eating kangaroo within, 4 or 5 days, and he's fine. Now, I mean, I know this thing affects people differently. A lot of the old folks, it's really rough on them, of course, and the sick folks, of course. But yeah, it's crazy. And then really the big question is, how does this affect what we do?
Yep.
The hunting community and which I hate that word community, of course, but the hunting people, most importantly, the feed stores, things of that nature. And it's the one thing that social media has made very clear, and all the pro hunting people, is they've been taking some shots at some at a lot of the folks that say that quote hunting is not necessary. You can get your meat from this, but I can't even tell you how many of those little meme, I think is what they call meme things. I
Mm-hmm.
pictures.
Memes, yeah.
Yeah, that show an empty grocery store.
Right.
And the no fresh meat. And then of course shows some dude's gigantic freezer. So
Right.
uh,
Well, let me just tell you, I was in the dog park where I live 2 days ago,
mm,
and there are two ladies in there on their phones, and I've seen them all the time. So I go, "Hey, how y'all doing? Fine." And they're very like they have this concerned look on their face, and one of them had been dialing, a number and it was ringing or whatever, and then the person it was on speakerphone, and they answered. It was Home Depot, I think. I think it was either that or Lowe's. And she goes, "Yeah, I was wanting to see if you have any deep freezes."
oh wow.
Yeah, and the person on the other end said, "No, ma'am, sorry, we're clear out." She's like, "Okay," and hangs up. And I was like, "Oh, you're looking for a deep freeze?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've been calling around all over, trying to get a deep freeze, for obvious reasons." So I was sitting there, and obviously I didn't say that I had one. I didn't want people to know,
Right.
that if worse came to worse.
Yeah.
Um, but I was thinking, man, yeah, I mean, just what you were saying, it's like that meme, you can't just drive down to the Central Market or whatever store
Right.
you go to and hope that there's a beautiful steak there or whatever,
Yeah.
pork
No.
or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
But luckily you and I,
Yes.
we do this hunting thing,
Right. Right.
excuse
Well,
me,
and
this
all of
hunting
our
thing,
listeners.
and our listeners do, and I
Yeah,
think
all of
that's
our
kind of how
listeners
we're
do.
tying that. Yeah, that's how we're tying it into the podcast, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think it really kind of puts things in perspective of just about how dependent, we are as people. We're dependent on the grocery store for
Yeah.
this and for that. And I know there's been a movement afoot to do your own this and organic and all this kind of stuff. But I think after this little freakus that I think that you'll see that movement really start to go. I think it go as in get more popular. People are going to grow their own. Really try to do their own gardens, be more self-sustained.
The
So
ironic
yeah.
thing about that is though that people usually do the right thing after the fact, or when it's not necessary anymore. So
Oh, of
like
course.
obviously the time to have been doing that had been before this,
Oh yeah.
leading up to this now, so that
Right.
you're prepared for it. So then people will start doing that, and that thing will be probably one of the biggest money making kind of fads, if you will,
Right.
coming out of whatever recession we go into.
Right.
But it'll be at the bottom to where people start doing it, but they won't really need to do it at that point because we'll be rebounding
Coming
and
out.
coming back and this, that, and the other, and we'll probably have prosperity for a while, to where they don't need to do it. When they should have been doing it is when are starting to do it, or even when people should have probably looked into hunting or just maybe got into it, learned some skills, this type of thing, is
Sure.
when you don't need it, and not when you really need it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So it's
Right.
it really it really gets you thinking, and one of the things that I've been thinking about is, um, you know, I, the prosperity we've had for so long has been amazing, and it's
Right.
given us the most amazing, standard of living that humans have ever seen, and we will keep going up with bumps and stuff, but that's where we are, right? But the downside to that has made us complacent,
Oh,
you know,
sure.
and
Oh,
the
yeah.
convenience has made us, forget
Right.
some of the skills that we've had, and I
Oh,
think
you're right.
you and I and our listeners and stuff holding on to hunting skills and this type of stuff, is like I feel like sometimes it's like a tenuous grasp on the past, you
Yeah.
know,
No.
and it goes kind of to that email that we sent earlier this week about, or was it the end of last week about like Dick's, a lot of people probably don't shop there for hunting stuff or whatever, the Dick's Sporting Goods store.
Right.
But I mean, that's why we asked, like, is this a sign of maybe of like a trend, like going forward, or now that all this crap's hit the fan, is it going to come rushing back to where people are now, like you're saying, trying to learn how to do maybe grow home gardens and this that and
Right.
other? Does that portend uh, a rush into our industry, into hunting
Oh,
going
sure.
forward?
Yeah.
Maybe it will. I don't.
No, I definitely think I think it's hunting is going to come out of this thing as and fishing of course and gathering and all that kind of stuff is going to come out on the good side of this just due to popularity of course then because of the popularity then you've got a problem of availability
Right.
the cost to do all that and that's just a whole nother bag of a bag of issues but um, yeah, it's crazy times, and the feed stores that we follow on feed on social media on feed or Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. They're all making preparation, not making preparations, but saying stuff like, hey, we're out here. We understand what's going on. Throwing up good customer service, basically saying, listen, if you need something call. You don't have to come inside. We don't have to come inside the store. You don't have to have any contact. We'll bring the feed out to you and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
And
see, what just hit my mind
what's
about
that?
all that stuff, and it's probably obvious to you, but it just occurred to me. I mean, I, I was thinking about it, but it occurred to me that I need to remember to bring it up. Is that right there is a perfect example of why even in good times, we in our community
Right,
and everyone listening and everything need to always support your local stores, your local feed stores, and
right,
your local hunting supply people, you just all your local people like that, especially feed stores like this, because what you just said is everything. They say, hey, call us or let us know. We'll be there for you. We'll load it in your car for you. If you're worried, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah.
right.
Try doing that with with one of these huge chains
No, you're right.
that knee jerks closes everything. And you can't do anything with them. It's
Exactly.
like you have a corporate overlord that directs their 100 stores or 200, 400, whatever it is, to
Right.
close, then you're SOL. But
You're
you
right.
have these smaller local feed stores that are saying, hey, we still want to do business. We're going to do it smart. We're
Right.
not going to do like a blanket close or this, that, and the other. We're still here
Right.
for you. That right there is enough to prove to people, I think, that
Right.
that's why even in the good times support them, so they'll be there for you in these bad times.
I could not agree more, my friend. And something else is sure these feed stores are doing this to they're taking these extraordinary steps to not only help them financially of course but they're also doing it just because they're damn decent human beings
Yeah.
and like you say they respond to their bosses themselves and they care about the people that they care about them and it's just it's a slice of humanity.
Mm.
It's a good thing, and so you're exactly right. When things do get back to the good times, hey, let's support these people. And again, that's one of our goals. That's what we're working on. So,
Hmm.
um,
Well, and
yeah,
that's like that gives us kind of even, I guess, greater purpose now
it does.
is to get the word out even more than it
It
did
does.
really when everything was going great. Because people, I
Absolutely.
think maybe now people can see a little better what we're trying to do, and
Oh, sure, sure.
um,
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And one of the things, I think it was Buck Stop. They're a local hunting store in Alvarado, Texas, and then in Hico, Texas. They've got another location. Just an awesome, awesome store. Don't go in that store if you've just been paid, because you'll leave coming out a little bit lighter. It's a lot of fun. And we bought a lot of good. They've a lot of stuff there, but they posted something today on they posted something today on their I think it was their Instagram page, but it was perfect, and it was just right up our alley. They basically said, "Listen, if you want to get away from people, okay, if you want to self quarantine or whatever, stop by one of our locations on the way to your lease, pick up some feed and go out there." And they're exactly right. I mean, if you're fortunate enough to be able to, have a lease, farm, or ranch, or something like that, I mean, boy, talk about a great time to get out there. Not only is it, are you away from people? Okay, that sounds really weird to say, but you're out there, and the little things out there, the sunsets, the birds chirping, the deer scampering will, give you a nice little stress relief, I think.
oh yeah, for sure. I
You know,
mean, look
like
at the
with
deer; they don't know what's going on.
no, it is funny. It is really funny. I was yesterday afternoon, or evening rather. I was eating dinner with my girls, and my wife, and we're with the girls. We're trying to not make light of this, but tell a little joke here and there and whatnot. And I said, well, girls, we clean out all the deer meat. We're going to be eating who. And I kind of bumped my head and out towards the rabbit out there in the yard. They're like, no, you can't eat Mr. Hoppy. And I was like, yeah, we're going to eat it. And I was like, I call a thigh, but but it's funny because I was sitting there after we were done. The girls started arguing about something, and so to tone them out, I started looking at that rabbit. I'm like, you know what, a rabbit right now, he's got it made. Besides the fact that everything in the square mile wants to kill and eat him, he's just doing his deal. He doesn't need Amazon. He doesn't need frozen concentrate orange juice. He's just doing his thing. He's simple. You
Right,
know.
right.
I definitely think in this day and age, with so many dependencies on so many different things, boy, there's something to be said about the simple life.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. In the end, all we are animals too. So who knows? Maybe this is nature saying, you gotta remember where you came from. I
But
don't
that's true.
know.
That's
Or it could
absolutely true.
be a released bioengineered,
Yes.
military
Right.
virus or something that
Right.
got loose. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what's
I
going
hope
on?
that guy gets fired. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was going to
Like,
do this.
oops. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny, when all this kind of stuff talked, we're broke. We were, talking about the famous line from Ghostbusters, dogs and cats living
Yep.
together, mass hysteria, and
And now
I
we're
keep
living.
thinking that Gozer's going to come, and
Yeah.
yeah,
It goes through the Gozerian. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Good evening.
Good stuff. Maybe
Golly.
it's time to watch that movie and get a good laugh again. I think.
Totally agree.
Lara's never seen it.
Are you kidding me?
I know. I was watching part of it the other day, and she's like, "What is this?" I said, "Ghostbusters." She goes, "Oh, I've never seen it." And I
What
just looked.
is this?
I just started. I looked at her and started just like drooling on myself. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Oh, I mean, that is like, I am stunned that you
I,
actually
I know it.
married her.
I know it. Can I go back? I don't know.
You know who really wants to watch it is Abby.
Yeah.
My 8-year-old daughter is really wanting to watch 1985 Ghostbusters, which is fine, but I got some explaining to do when Dan Aykroyd's pants gets unzipped. How am I going to do that? And then when Sigourney Weaver's like, "Do you want this body?"
Yes.
That's going to be totally. Well, what does she mean? Does he want this body? I'm like, oh boy.
Well, then you got to explain why you're hiding behind the couch when that Prince song comes on with the spirits going across the city.
Terrified. Oh yeah. Oh God, I know we've heard it before, but that piece right there,
Yeah.
still that song creeps me out. And
Oh.
you can't find it. You cannot find it.
Really?
Yeah, on any of the what do you call it? On
Like
any of the
Spotify or anything?
yeah.
Huh.
Like I've tried typing it in and I cannot find it.
Really? That's interesting. Yeah, it's one of those things that like when you're young it traumatizes you. So even when you're
Oh,
older, if you hear it, it like sparks that memory kind of.
it really does. It was I remember, Sunday night my dad was out grilling chicken, at the house I grew up in. I was in there watching Ghostbusters. It seemed like every Sunday night it would come on. It seems like, oh my God, it scared the crap out of me. It's a good one though. It's a good
That's funny. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the end here is, if you're a hunter and you have a freezer, I bet you're probably feeling pretty happy right now. At least that you have, some. At least you have some meat that you don't have to go to the store for a while.
Yeah.
For a while, hopefully.
Yeah.
And hopefully everyone out there is, stocked up from the end of deer season.
Absolutely.
And just man, this is crazy. It's going to be a good excuse to experiment on new recipes and new ways to prepare meat.
I agree. In fact, I just finished a piece. I did some venison shanks this past weekend, so I finished up the writing on that. We'll get that posted so y'all can see it.
Oh, awesome!
I think the other thing that this experience really brings to the foreground is when you're sitting there and you're cutting up a deer and I'm victim to this as well, and maybe this is not the norm, but when we butcher a deer that we're going to process ourselves, I really take all the meat cuts. Truthfully, I leave a lot of the neck meat though. I leave the ribs every single time. I just do it, and thinking about it now, I'm like, man, that's meat I wasted. I don't know how much. I can't quantify it. Was it 4 pounds, 2 pounds, whatever? But
at the very least, it's ground meat.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, man, did I leave meat on the counter? And
right.
It makes me kind of. I hope I remember that come next deer season when I drop something. Take the extra step to take some of that neck meat. Assuming you don't blow the neck to smithereens like our good friend Matt does, but or no, headshot guy.
Oh, yeah.
Gross. Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I started taking the neck meat last 2 deer that I had.
It's good. It's good.
It is good.
It's clean. There's not a lot of tendons in it.
Yeah.
Besides, you're just obviously just carving around the windpipe is quote the most challenging, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some people on here listening, screaming into their, at their radio or whatever. That's sacrilege to not take that or whatever.
Oh, I know. I know.
Hey, we never said we were pros.
No, definitely not.
We're still learning alongside you. That's the whole point of this podcast. And
absolutely. Well, and the whole point of this podcast, really, again, everybody's kind of stressed right now. It is the way it is, and I said it on the podcast. It'll be airing tomorrow, I think. We'll say it on this one as well. We really hope that. I mean, this is for entertainment purposes, but it's also for calming purposes, and really try to at least relax you for 20 or 30 minutes, not think about everything going on. I mean, I know we talked about some, but maybe it helps put things into perspective for you. And these are times to use our head and not give in to the sheeples.
Yep, that's right. And then in the end, you gotta save yourself out there, and then in order to save your family, so just be be safe and be smart, and
Right.
make sure you got some ammo lying near just in case.
There
Not
you
to
go.
scare
Yeah,
anybody, but
and remember,
that's
remember. I mean, this sucks and it's terrible, but it pales in comparison to growing up in Texas in the 1800s. Okay, let's not forget about that, where there were marauders and Indians and everything wanted to kill you. I mean, I think the life expectancy in Texas in the 1840s was like 24, or something ridiculous like that. So.
mhm.
And of course they had the typhus, the smallpox, cholera,
Oh
all
yeah,
the interesting like.
the diarrhea. I mean, it's
Oh
just
yeah,
that's
the chronic dysentery, which and if they had iPhones back then, it probably would have been a lot more tolerable, for recording and sending their buddies. But
Speaking of, any more replies on that
yeah, I
text
got,
thread?
got a few. Our friend Tyson says, "You've got a blank problem." Uh, Marlo says, "Damn." God. Anything for a laugh right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, I don't really have much else to say there. I'm glad we got, talked about this, recorded it for posterity's sake. As
Yes.
folks know who've been listening, I was out for a couple of weeks. I had a daughter that was born on March 2nd, Texas Independence Day.
Yeehaw.
So she's going to be, it's going to be interesting to go back and tell her what was going on now
Yes. God.
around when she was born, my little virus baby.
Yes.
Just boy, oh boy, she's
Yeah.
she's gonna be a product of interesting times to come. So,
Yes, she is.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
daughter, everything was great until you came. And then it really hit
And
the
don't get
fan.
me wrong, it wasn't because of you. It's just coincided,
Exactly.
except for the lack of sleep part. That was you,
Right.
but
Yeah,
other
that's
than
definitely your fault. Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't think I have anything else. So
I think I'm good, my friend. Other than the fact, if you're going out to your ranch or going to your lease, get to those feed stores, folks.
yeah.
Don't let this is the box stores will be fine. They will make it. Let's get to those feed stores. Let's bring that money back from the city back to where it all began. I've said it a million times, and I'll say it again. And boy, we especially need it right now, no doubt.
Well, let's bring that money back, but then once this thing turns around, let's keep it there.
I
Right?
agree.
Yeah. We'll make a habit of
I
it.
love it. Sounds good to me, buddy.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, all right, folks. If you're out there and you haven't joined our email list, please be sure to do that. As soon as we post his, what was it that you said you cooked?
Venison shanks.
Okay, the shanks. We'll send that out via our email list, and maybe you can try it on your own with some of the meat you have in your freezer.
Mm.
Um, you know, Other things, we send out other tips, tricks, interesting hunting ideas, things of that nature. So you be sure to jump on that list. I know we've been saying it, but we're working on a lot of good things to bring to you guys, and help you guys help out folks like the feed stores we're talking about. Help the feed stores help you guys out. All that stuff. Most of it's going to be accessed through our email list. So
Yep.
be sure to get on there. You can do that by texting the word bandit to 33777. And also, if you have anything to say, you want to ask us a question, give us any feedback on the podcast, or any commentary about anything we've said, or anything you want us to address, any ideas, please let us know. We'd love to hear them. If you go to feedbanditpodcast.com, that will give you a couple ways to get in contact with us, either via email or you can just leave us a voicemail. So we'd love to hear from you. I feel like as we're going through this situation now, especially if we're quarantined for the next month or two, we'll be doing these podcasts, and we'll want to hear from you guys out there that maybe
Yes.
or see what's going on with y'all, see how it's affecting things. We got turkey season coming up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be able to take advantage of that. So yeah, just a lot coming down the pike. I know some things might seem a little scary, crazy out there, interesting or whatever, what have you. But in the end, it'll work out, and we're gonna have fun getting through it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. With that, we'll just leave it and wish everybody to have a good week and take care. And we will talk to you guys on the next episode of the podcast. Talk to y'all later.
Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit podcast. If you like what we discuss on the show, be sure to sign up to our email list to get even more killer hunting ideas, tips, tricks, and exclusive deals on innovative hunting gear and services delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up over at feedbandit.com or simply by texting the word bandit to 33777. See you on the next one, and remember, support your local feed store.